Oh, there's my Baba girl. Come to Mama, Baba.
Baba. Seth. Whoa! Whoa! Doggy, doggy.
You see the doggy? Emily, look at Mom. Emily. Emily, you're so darling. Emily, this is a beautiful spring day, and you're so glad to be outside. Oh, Meredith, also, Emily. Oh.
No college player has ever had the natural skill for sports like Jim has. He can penetrate a line and see holes break through it in a second. He runs with dazzling speed. He can go farther with the tackler hanging on to him than any man I ever knew. He concentrates, sizes up the situation quickly. He is the same in every sport. The newspapers began to write, Jim Thorpe is the most versatile athlete ever. As a winner of numerous Olympic gold medals, and being named the greatest athlete of the first half of the 20th century, Jim Thorpe is not only a man, but a legend. He was extremely talented athletically, and good at nearly every sport he ever tried. But he was especially good at track and field, where he broke new records. Football, where he was one of the first inductees into the National Football League Hall of Fame. And baseball, where he was one of the first Indians to play Major League Baseball. Although he later became publicized worldwide, his personal life started very humbly. Jim and twin brother Charlie were born on May 28, 1888, on an Indian reservation in Oklahoma Territory. Their mother, Charlotte, was an Indian, and their father, Hiram, was part Indian. Even at a very young age, Hiram taught his boys how to hunt, fish, and track wild animals. Nearly all they did was in the outdoors. Often, Jim and Charlie would test each other's skills by swimming across vast rivers, climbing trees, or even jumping on the backs of wild horses, all to see who was the fastest or the strongest. But most importantly, Hiram Thorpe taught his sons how to be good sportsmen, to always try their best to win, but not to be sore losers or hold a grudge when they lost. At the age of 6, Jim and Charlie started the Sac and Fox School for Indians in that area. It taught them the basics like reading and writing, but more importantly, it taught them how to speak English, because most of the Indians in that area still spoke their own tribal languages. Charlie was a rather good student, but Jim couldn't help being cooped up in the classroom all day, and it was always antsy to get outside. At the age of 9, Charlie died of pneumonia, and Jim fell into deep depression. Often he would go off on his own into the wilderness for days at a time. One day, Jim decided to run home from school, and he thought his son would be happy to see him. But when he got home, his father was very upset and turned right around and drove him the 23 miles back to school in their wagon. As Hiram left out the front door, Jim slipped out the back and ran the 18-mile shortcut home as only a 10-year-old. When his father returned the wagon, he was astonished to see Jim sitting on the front porch there, waiting for him. This is just one example of how Jim was such a good athlete, even when he was just a young boy. Well, after this incident, Mr. Thorpe realized all the pain and sorrow there was for Jim at the Sac and Fox School. So he enrolled him in a new school, Haskell, in Kansas. He thought being at Haskell would help to relieve some of the sorrow over the death of his brother. And he thought it was a little too far away for Jim to come running back home. While there at Haskell, Jim first learned about the game of football. He was fascinated by it. He loved it, and he learned all he could about the sport. But when he was 14, his mother died, and he had to return home to Oklahoma to help out his family. While there, he went to Garden Grove, yet another school. At Garden Grove, he excelled in sports, but especially track and field, where he attracted attention from all over the country, including that of Pop Warner. Glenn S. Pop Warner was probably one of the greatest football coaches ever, and at the time was the head football coach and athletic director at Carlisle Indian School in Pennsylvania, and had turned it into a national power. Jim eagerly accepted the invitation to go to the most prestigious of all of the Indian schools, When he first arrived, he was only 16 years old, only 5 feet 5.5 inches tall, and weighed a mere 115 pounds. Because of his lack of size, it made it tough for him to prove to the coaches that he could be good at sports, when all the other athletes were so much bigger and taller. One day, watching the track team practice, Jim noticed that no one could clear the high jump bar. So he asked if he could try one jump. They all laughed at him and gladly let him try. But he stunned them all, as on his first jump he sailed over the bar and broke the school record in his street clothes. But Jim's fame only began there. He went on to become a star in many sports and had lengthy professional careers. Thorpe later married 3 different times and had 6 children. But his marriages suffered because of alcohol problems, and he returned to his old habit of disappearing off for days at a time. In his last years, he gave speeches to schools, always coming out on the stage wearing a big Indian headdress. Jim Thorpe died in 1953 of a heart attack at the age of 65. Although his personal life was very illustrious, his public life proved to be even more so. You see, when Jim first came to Carlisle, he was determined that he was going to play football. Nothing was going to stop him. Even after a repeated no's from Coach Pop Warner, Jim snuck into the locker room and found the old jersey and trotted out into practice. Warner was furious at him, but he thought he should teach him a lesson. So he sent him into practice against the team's best defense so he could get clobbered. But again, Jim proved him wrong. As on his first handoff, he blasted with amazing speed and power, mowing down would-be tacklers in his way. The next day, Jim was made a member of the varsity team. And for him, the rest was history. In his first football game, he had 5 touchdowns and 1 passing touchdown, all in the first half. In the next game, the score was tied, and the Carlisle crowd is cheering, "We want Jim! We want Jim!" So Pop tapped him on the shoulder and sent him in the game, and on his first handoff, he raced for 70 yards, eluding tackles and yelling the whole way, "Out of my way! Get out of my way!" The crowd loved him. Jim participated in the 1912 Olympics in Stockholm, Sweden. There he became the first, and only, ever to win both a pentathlon and a decathlon. Both are grueling tests of skill and endurance, with a taste for every type of track and field event there is. When Jim returned home to the United States, he was a national hero, and even received a ticker tape parade in New York City. He went on to play a few more years of football at Carlisle, then turned pro with the Canton Bulldogs for $250 a game, which was a rather big sum of money to be playing professional sports. A few years later after that, he signed to the New York Giants pro baseball team and became America's first 2-sport pro athlete. Jim Thorpe came from a small Indian tribe in Oklahoma to become a hero worldwide. His speed, quickness, agility, and raw power enabled him to be good at any sport he ever tried. You could say he was by far the greatest athlete, but what really sets Jim apart from the rest was that he was such a good sportsman. He always believed in being fair and honest in every type of contest. Another thing that sets Jim apart from the rest was his level of determination. He was so dedicated and determined to what he was doing that he was going to work and work and then work some more until he got what he wanted. For example, in one of those football games, on his first 2 handoffs, he was thrown for losses of yards by the legendary Newt Rockne. But determinedly, on his next handoff, he blasted head-on into Rockne and knocked him unconscious. But however competitive on the field Jim was, he was equally kind and gentle off the field. He also became an inspiration to many people, but especially Indians. His influence helped to gain respect for Indians as athletes and as a people. The nation began to view Indians as proud and strong. Even sports teams began to name themselves after Indians, such as the Indians or the Braves. Overall, no athlete has ever caught the world's attention, admiration, and imagination